Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Maybe I Can podcast. I'm your host, Debbie Weiss. And today, my guest is Tammy Doering. She is a beauty guru, wellness warrior, and #1 Amazon bestseller. It's safe to say that Tammy wears many hats. Fueled by personal health battles, she embarked on a mission in 1998 to empower women with natural beauty solutions. Tammy ditched the toxins and embraced the power of Dead Sea minerals. Uh, As CEO of Aviv Spa Dead Sea Products and Totally Pamper Me Day Spa, she brings luxury spa experiences to every woman's doorstep. Her passion spills over onto the page where her book, Age Beautifully, guides readers to radiant, glowing skin, holistic health, and boundless energy. But Tammy's reach extends far beyond products and pages. As a sought after speaker and former radio host and newspaper columnist, she ignites audiences with her infectious passion, inspiring women to unlock their potential and embrace their natural glow. Tammy, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Miss Debbie. I'm so honored to be here. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So, as I ask all of my guests, can you please tell us about a time where you went from a defeated, I can't attitude to a more empowered, maybe I can attitude?
Well, the maybe I can attitude happened at the bottom of the barrel for me. My daughter was 2 at the time, and I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I was also battling seborrheic psoriasis on my scalp and neck, and I was losing my hair and going bald. I had encountered learning about getting the acrylic nails on my fingers back in the day. And so I was getting my nails done. And over time, they were using an illegal primer that dissolved every fingernail bed I had.
Mhm.
And so I was a literal walking basket case. The doctors put me on the drugs for the fibro. I was a walking zombie. I was dysfunctional, very, very negative, very suicidal. The one thing that really had me hanging on was to watch my little girl grow up. But it was literal living hell because I couldn't pick her up. I couldn't hold her. I couldn't play with her. I had no energy. Like literally the chore of getting out of bed mentally was over exhausting to me because of all the medicines that they had me on. And I just finally, in my prayer time, I just begged God to either take me home or show me a better way because this is not what I signed up for at 33 years old. And in the prayer time, it was kind of funny because let me digress for 2 seconds. My husband and I in 95 started dial up internet here at our office. And so we were living in the building, sometimes 72 hours. What's now my Totally Pamper Me facial room used to be my Paddington Bear nursery for Jessica. And so she had a crib and she had veggie tails and all these things, and we made a kitchen and everything because it was like, well, if I've got to be here with a baby, I need to be able to function like I would at a home. So we just sort of made our office complex a home and just did what we had to do. But during all of that was what really I wasn't taking care of Tammy. And so the illness began to seep in and creep in. And after 2 years of ignoring my total health, that's how I got so sick. And so I just started learning online about herbs and essential oils. And this was back before there was any multi level marketing essential oil company even existed, or they were starting during this time. And so I was just like, okay, God, what's out there? I know you made me and you made all of this, and the leaves will heal me. What does that mean? And he's like, all of them, but you got to learn. And before that time, I hated, for me to be a #1 bestseller is like hysterical because I hated reading. To
Oh,
write a
my.
book. It's like, wow, that's like a miracle in its own right. But I was mesmerized when I began to learn. I was like, it's almost like they're hiding all of these amazing things that all of these herbs can do for us. And one day when I was doing dial up, you remember, I don't know, you probably had dial up too.
Oh,
Everybody,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you were just
You know,
hoping that it was going to connect, right?
please, please, somebody
Right.
get me connected. And we had the best service there was. We still had issues. But I was just like, one day I was online and nothing is happens by accident. But I say this tongue in cheek. I accidentally ran across medical documentation of people being healed with psoriasis at the Dead Sea. Well, I live in Alabama.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, how do I get the Dead Sea to me?
Yeah.
Because, when you're in your 30s and you're going bald, and you
Mhm.
think by the time I'm 40, I might have 3 strands of hair on my head. Wow, the fear. Because when you're a young woman, especially, your hair I called it my mane. I mean, I grew up in
Yeah.
the 50s, so we had the spiral perms and the great big hair. If it was out to China, we were happy with. But I just was just like, how do I get it to me? And long story short, God began to open up these doors. Now, 26 years later, we import 40,000 pounds of the raw material from the Dead Sea. I've dreamed every formula. Obviously, I didn't lose my hair. I used
Beautiful hair
to,
you have for those who can't see.
back in the day, I was wearing everything, every scrunchie I could find, every banana clip that had hair on it to hide. I faked it well. Matter of
Mm.
fact, I started going back through old pictures and I did such a great job. You can't tell that I was losing my hair during those years. And the miracle occurred with the Dead Sea, getting a hold of the mud, and I started putting my hands down in the bucket of mud and putting it in my head. And then, because of all the things I learned being at the hairdresser about putting a baggie over your head, shower cap, and then putting a heated cap over that, I started doing all these things. And in 12 weeks, I healed that 14-year nightmare that was getting worse with the doctors. It healed, like no scars, no remnants of it whatsoever at all. My fingernails grew back, and I even got rid of nail fungus with all of this stuff. And I was just like, okay, I
Just
got
from the mud? Like, were
this
you
all from the
using the
dead.
mud all from
Yeah,
using
well,
it
so
on your fingernails?
we actually import the Dead Sea mud, the semi-dry salt, the clay, and the high magnesium Dead Sea water, or Dead Sea brine is what it's really known as. Then we use all of those raw materials and make hair, skin, and nail products that are all 100% natural. We are the only 100% natural Dead Sea company on the market. There are other Dead Sea companies, but they use a lot of toxic and bioaccumulate ingredients, which means if it goes on you, in you, or down the drain, it can hurt you in the future and our planet. But I've always been dedicated to 100% natural. And it's been the hardest thing, but the most amazing thing to watch, because over the course of time, you heal. And I hate to use that word, but I don't use it flippantly. My book actually talks about 25 years of the healing. And then in the back of my book, it actually has every reference that I found online at medical level at the Dead Sea, what they were doing and how they were doing it and making that treatment, but being able to bring it into the home instead of you having to fly over to the Dead Sea. Now, I
Yes.
have been in the Dead Sea twice.
I was going to ask you
Uh,
that.
this is the most amazing thing. I want to go back so bad, but obviously right now during all of this stuff going on,
Yes.
Israel can't go. But to float in the Dead Sea is the most amazing joy ever. And actually on the website in the About Us, you see me floating in the Dead Sea, because it's magical. It doesn't matter if you're 450 pounds or a gigantic elephant, anything that lives will float in the Dead Sea.
Yeah.
Now, rocks will sink, but everything alive will float, and nothing will live in it because people think it's salty, but it's actually minerals. And we're made from the dust of the earth, which is minerals.
Minerals.
So, doesn't that make sense that minerals would heal our bodies? You think about the sulfur springs and how healing these things are. Everybody calls the Dead Sea dead, and I refute it, because it's not. It is life-giving to humans as well as animals. Our products have even healed Charlie the dog. His stories in the book, pictures of, he was covered in 2/3 of a staph infection that they said they couldn't get rid of him because he was older. They suggested the family put him down.
Oh,
And the family found me through a BNI partner over in Gadsden, Alabama, who I said, look, if you ever find the dog at your bark park, that the family is like, we don't care, there's no hope. I said, the thing is the only reason I'm saying that because most people poo-poo natural. I said, but when they say we got no other alternative, I said, bring the dog in and let me walk you through what to do. And so back in 2010, Charlie encountered our lives and he was healed, went from raw meat to full coat. And you could see the countenance on his face, how happy he was. He was an older dog. He lived for another 1.5 years, but healthy. And he passed away in his sleep, but a healthy dog. And so I got the idea from that old product, Mane and Tail, where they were using it on horses and then women
yes.
to use it on their bleach blonde hair and made it softer. And so when I healed my own stuff, I used it on my dog, Annabelle, who had psoriasis. And 6 weeks of treatment. So she was a little miniature dachshund, so it wasn't a lot of stuff, but I put her mud all over her, put her out in the backyard, let the sun bake it on her, rinse her off. And her coat was black and it would glisten like black diamonds in the sun. It was just incredible to watch. But it's just been amazing to watch how God will use you when the Bible tells us we have not because we ask not. And I reached the bottom of the barrel looking up and I'm thinking, I don't know if that's God or the freight train about to take me out.
I find it daunting to think that, okay, you get the mud for yourself, you see that it works for you, but to go from there to where you are now, the learning curve had to be incredible. Manufacturing a product, making a product, and shipping, and then all the things that go with it.
Girl,
I,
you wouldn't believe what we go through.
I can't even imagine. I really can't, because I've had times myself in the last year or so where I think about a product, not something like you're selling, but any type of product, and it is overwhelming if you really break it down. What is really involved in getting those things out there to people?
The biggest thing to me is I have relationships with my vendors. I go to them. I go there. I see. That's why I went to the Dead Sea. I actually had to go there because the company that I was buying from that were American located in California, they disappeared overnight on me when I was writing the beauty column, which I wrote for 15 years. And the only reason I quit was the lady died of an aneurysm overnight and the paper went away.
Oh.
The radio station I tried, but the costs, that just piles up so fast. And I did that for about a year. I didn't want to quit it. I loved doing it, but it was a matter of finances. But when they disappeared, believe it or not, for me to find a Muslim at the Arab Potash group, which are very male. Okay. And
Okay.
I'm not meaning that ugly, but I'm a female.
Right.
And a Christian American woman. And we actually went over there. They picked us up. They brought us to the Dead Sea. I told them, I said, look, I need pure raw material. They were putting pesticides and all these different things in the mud. And then I was getting what's called the ripped and stripped Dead Sea salt, not the pure. And there's so much difference. And a lot of people, well, I've used Dead Sea salt. It's no different than Epsom salt. Well, you got the wrong stuff. What you want is what's called semi-dry, because that actually is dredged right out of like you pulled it up out of the Dead Sea yourself. And so it's just so much more healing and better for you. The Dead Sea salt that most people get has been dredged by these groups over there. They get the minerals out, but what's left is the salt. So it's Dead Sea salt, but there's no magnesium chloride and potassium chloride and vitamin and all these amazing minerals that are present in the semi-dry. But what happens with the semi-dry is if the lid comes off, it will melt. And I live in Alabama. So when we bring in 40,000 pounds, we have got a dilemma here because of the humidity in the summer.
Sure.
for it, like it's almost like beat the clock before it becomes brine, because
Yeah.
it literally will dissolve into Dead Sea water. So we go through it, but we actually use all of it and create all these products. We on the website, we have, I believe it's like 179 products over the course of time. A lot of these things have been created into kits and things of over people needing different things. We have makeup, and we have just all kinds of mineral peels and mud masks and hair mud and shampoo. And people kind of freak out when they look at the product pricing on the shampoos and stuff. But I'm like, okay, here's the thing. If you're buying things at the grocery store, you're buying things at the big box places, you are toxifying your body in your shower. And you're actually depleting the quality of your hair every time you use these things. So as you celebrate more birthdays, I don't get older, I just celebrate, you are depleting the quality of that hair root. So your hair will thin over time. And then you'll actually begin to lose it. And then sometimes it comes out. And the toxins left behind are stagnant in the body. And when you get a diagnosis of cancer, those toxins feed that cancer. It's like putting gasoline on a fire. And so what you want to have is pure products. So this way the body flushes them out, doesn't store them. And for all of us, especially if you're over 40 and you moving into menopause, thank God I'm through the other side of that.
Yeah.
But when you get the belly fat issues, that's where it stores in women, especially. And so that's when it begins to fuel. So you want to keep these things out of the body and keep yourself safe in the shower, in your bath. I mean, I was using all these other things too. I was a fragrance junkie.
Yeah.
I was like, you're using toxic stuff on my temple. You're treating it like a shack out back, and you need to wake up and take care of you now. And that was, well, now 26 years ago this year.
The hair thing, I don't know, depending on how old you are. Like you said, I think you and I are pretty much the same age, but I'm 60, and I can tell you that I don't know how many years now it's been that it seems like I come out of the shower and there's more hair in my brush or more hair in my hand than there is on my head. And I see, my hairline all of a sudden receding and thinning. And I've always had such thick, nice hair. And
One of the
it's
things that
scary.
one of the things that a lot of women aren't aware of, I get highlights in my hair, but I don't get color because all hair dye contains toxins, like bad toxins. 1,4 dioxane is in hair color. The hair color is applied to the root, which is applied at the scalp level. So that is being absorbed into the hair root, which over time makes the hair root sick, and then it begins to die out. So a lot of women are going, so what do I do? Because I'm a natural brunette, and I get the highlights just because I have what I call wisdom strands. Everybody in my family, I'll be 61 in August, and everybody in my family has been either white-headed by 20 years old, or my sister and my dad at 35.
Yep.
And I the only difference between me and them is I do Dead Sea hair mud every week, once a week now, just to maintain, because I don't want that slop coming back on my head. It looked like hot spots on a dog all over my scalp. And I don't want that. But that's one of the things that women think, because I'm going to the salon, it's safer. Or if you're buying it on the over the counter, those are even more toxic. So you want to make sure that you're using something that's natural as possible. Henna is a good alternative. It can be a little harsh on hair types. So you want to use a good cleansing conditioner that will bring back that softness after you get done with it. But a lot of women don't understand this, even hairdressers. I went back to school to get my licenses so that I could open a natural day spa. I'm actually a manicurist instructor and a licensed barber, because I did not want to have as an esthetician all those chemicals put on my face and body, because you are the guinea pig in school. If you can't understand what the client's going through, you can't, react
Sure.
know what to look for. And I was like, I'm detoxified. I don't want that stuff on me. So one of my dear friends that is retired now, but she was a board of a cosmetology inspector. She actually said, Tammy, you can get a barber license. And with that barber license, you can do your mud masks and you can do what you want to do, but all natural and not have to have all of those other licenses. And I was like, let's go for it. So that's what I did.
And so now in your spa, physically in your physical location, what services do you offer?
We do natural manicures and pedicures and facials. I I can cut hair, but I choose not to because I just don't. That can be, people sometimes want you to be a magician, not a beautician. It's just like, I'm just going to take on what I really love, my passion, help them get glowing skin and restore their nails after they've had these nightmare issues with the gels and the acrylics. Women, if you're listening to this and you're wearing those things, can I tell you, those are the most toxic things that you're doing to your body. The primers that are used to make that stuff stick to the nail bed, your nails absorb 2 to 3 times more than your skin does. So every time
Wow.
you get those sets put back on, that primer they're wiping you with is toxic. It's going straight into your bloodstream, straight into your organs. And as you continue to do this all the time, it literally builds up the toxins in the body. Women will still do it because it looks good and they're addicted to it. But there are alternatives. I actually use a product in our nail room that is called Dazzle Dry, and it actually is a gel system for natural nails, dries rock hard with no curing lamp in under 5 minutes, but it can be removed with non-acetone polish remover.
Mm.
So you won't have the fangs, but honestly, when you got those things, it's so fake looking and
I
cheesy.
know. I don't
Yeah.
understand it either. Although I have to say, I don't have acrylics, but I do put gel polish on because when I don't, it chips in 2 days.
Well,
And then
that is,
that's how I got hooked.
yeah, and that's the downside to it. The unfortunate side of the gels, when they come off, the nail beds are so flimsy and they're
Yeah.
so weak and they're so brittle. Oh, these are my nails, I just have an overlay on. Well, your nails underneath there are sick,
Yeah.
and they actually are a window to what your real health is. So when you're hiding underneath the gels, it's actually very, very, it's a vicious cycle. It's an addiction,
Yep.
just like alcohol and drugs are. It is a drug in its own right because it's pleasing to our eye and it's perfect, right?
Exactly.
With Dazzle Dry, because I'm in gloves all the time, I probably redo my manicure twice, twice a week, Wednesdays, Saturdays, because I'm in gloves all the time. With the average person, that isn't that way, their claim is up to 14 days. I've seen it last as long as 10 on a client that, doesn't get outside, but I'm in the garden and I'm dealing with clients and pedicure,
Yeah.
all of these different things. So it's not the same for me as it is for a lot of others. But on your toes, 6 to 8 weeks,
Mm.
it'll last. But it will still remove with that non-acetone polish remover, which is, it's still not the healthiest. The healthiest is nothing.
Yes.
But I like pretty nails, and
Yep.
I keep them short, and that way I don't, because if I don't, they go through the nitrile gloves easy, and
Yeah.
that's not a good thing when you're working with somebody's face.
No, definitely not. I want to go back to the hair for a minute because so highlights, you said you do highlights instead of the overall head. So highlights because they don't go into your roots.
Right,
That's
because
not
the highlights are
just
actually,
on the top of
they,
your
they
head, a
they
hair.
actually they paint it on the hair and then they
Yeah.
use the foil.
Yes.
They press it down, but
Yep.
they're not hitting it right to the root
Yeah.
at all. They just paint the hair strand. And, then that way it just sort of flows as you get it. I just had my hair done last Friday. So I don't normally, I just was like, I want, because my mom got it for me. I was like, give me more blonde, just give me some more highlights. Summer's coming and I'm ready for a new, after all we've gone through, I just needed I needed to be freshened up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And highlights are wonderful. Highlights, lowlights, these kind of different things you can actually, women can mask these things with doing stuff like that. And then you can actually use like the henna at the root if you want to touch up and things along those lines. Trying to find a beautician that understands this kind of concept is very difficult because it's just like big pharma. They're taught chemical.
Right.
Doctors are taught medicine and they don't know anything else. When I was in school, was studying everything else, natural alternatives. As an instructor, we had to write 9 lesson plans in school. And I was always studying about what causes nail fungus, what melanoma of the nails would look like. So I could actually assess a client as I'm working with them, and my eyes would be able to recognize things to tell them to go to a doctor. Even just like a little spot on the bottom of a foot could be a melanoma.
Yeah.
And people don't know it, but if you're trained or you've studied, then you actually see it. Like right now, I'm taking the naturopathic practitioner certification and studying that. I finally decided after 25 years, I've been studying this whole time. Why haven't I done that?
Sure.
Right. And so I'm actually in the course and I'm kind of disappointed. I thought they'd have more in here because I know about an herb for hair, skin, and nails, and they only talk about it for one aspect.
Interesting.
I was sitting there going, okay, make your notes. I need to make my own down the road. Who knows? I'm mesmerized by what God's put here. It's, to people, it's like almost like voodoo. It's not though. It's what's happened is we've been brainwashed to go to the doctor. I don't know if you've seen the documentary called Blue Zones on Netflix.
No.
Oh, you've got to see this because my goal is I want to live to be 130. The Bible tells us 120, and I asked God for a 10-year extension.
Okay.
So when I started teaching exercise class, when I was at age 50, it was to avoid a wheelchair. So now I'm at 60. So now I'm in training for 70. And when I get there, I'll be in training for 80 and keep going each decade. Well, the Blue Zones, when you go and watch this documentary, they take care of one another. They are active all day. I'm talking 84-year-olds playing 3 hours of pickleball a day. I'm talking gardening at 105 and still blowing and going and moving and doing things all day long. They get up at 6, they work till 10, and then they get together in communities. There's no nursing homes or hospitals in these zones. They take care of each other and they are a community and they thrive off of each other because they have a purpose in life. What's happening here in the United States is if you can't get up and move, they would throw you in a nursing home. You literally just put a death sentence when you put somebody in a nursing home. They will pass away within 2 to 6 years. They're not loved and cared for anymore. So you've got
what happens? Where are these blue zones?
There's blue zones. There's one in California. They're all over the world. There's one in the Greek islands. I want to call it Icarus. I don't know why, but I can't remember the name. It starts with an
okay.
And then there's one in Okinawa, Japan. But then the guy that did all of this, what he did was he said, okay, I've taken from all of these zones. Wonder if we could make our own zone here in the United States. So he found a city that said, okay, we'll become a blue zone. And they've actually gotten healthier as time has gone on because they're embracing natural. They're eating, they're growing their fruits and their vegetables. They're mainly vegetarians or vegan. Some of them, they do fish and things like that, especially like in Okinawa, where they have the best sushi in the world. But they don't eat a lot of animal byproducts, and they don't eat any processed foods whatsoever. None. They make everything. They celebrate their meals together, and they are there for one another. And as people get up in age, they take care of them. And every day they have a purpose when they wake up, and they're there for each other. And it's just a beautiful thing. And I want to go and create my own blue zone somewhere with all of these people, just to help them grow mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, because they all are people of faith as well. And they all go to church every Sunday because that's the way, that's how they live. And they're happy, genuinely happy. It's not this fake, oh, the whole time, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
it just got me so excited because I was like, everybody looks at me like I'm an idiot. Why do you want to live to be 130 the way the world is? I want to watch. My grandma lived to be 100 years old in 11 days.
Nice.
And she lived through the Great Depression,
Yep.
through it, right? She was frugal. And I always thought, oh, Graham, I never reached a point until I had to understand what frugal had to be. But I was like, Graham, that's kind of odd. Why do you put the date on everything? Guess what I do now? I put
Yeah.
when I got it, so I know how long it lasts and decide, is that something I want to keep in my life or does it need to go? Because I'm using too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been this journey that we're on right now with learning how to juggle through, catastrophic financial loss has been actually the best thing in my life because now I respect every single thing. I pick up the penny and I thank God
Yeah.
as I put it into my little zipper pouch with my little coins because that's one step closer to a dollar.
Exactly.
I know that's
Exactly. Can
silly, but
you, so as you're talking about this, you and I spoke about what you're talking about before I hit record, but why don't you tell our audience what you're referring to?
well, we went through a nightmare with a crypto scam that we invested in, and it had been going fantastic for a couple of years. And it was one of those hide and lay in the bushes kind of thing where you keep going, and you're growing, and then it was like, oh, we got this deal of a lifetime just for the people that are in here, and so we invested in it and we helped other people with it as well, not trying to be, what's the word I'm looking, financial advisors. They just, they didn't know what to do, and so Jim actually helped them do their thing on their own. But it was a scam, and it was a server in London, and it took everybody's money. Over 1,000 people were on the server when it just decided to take everybody's money. And my husband invested everything we had to help everybody else's grow, and it backfired. And so in literally 59 years old, not a dime to my name, and going, what now? Okay, Lord Jesus, where are you? In the middle of all this, he was right there and he walked us through, and we're coming out of it. It's a very long haul because after having a business for 35 years, we had to do a lot of scurrying and a lot of hurrying to figure out how to survive now. And that's one of the most beautiful things, to have that faith, to know he's got me. And it was, I wouldn't trade that, because a lot of people don't believe in God, but I believe in him so much because I've seen so many miracles in my whole life. And it's just, I just want to give you that encouragement and hope. If you're going through it, hang on, don't quit, don't stop. Find somebody that can be there for you, that can hold you and hug you, because we needed that hug during that tough time. We lost some friends along the way with it. Breaks my heart. But the ones that we kept are like priceless, and just so caring and so loving and so supportive. They still check on my husband because he was very suicidal because of feeling like an idiot and, sucker and stupid. I mean, all the words you can imagine coming into his mind. And he's 7 years older than me. So, it was catastrophic for both of us in our lives and all of that. And I just thank God that we didn't do what we wanted to do, which was check out. I couldn't leave the daughter and the granddaughter with that kind of a mess behind. Although we thought about it, it was like, that is not an option.
Right.
We got to figure this out. And when that rubber meets the road and you get on those hands and knees, because there's no other place to go at that point. It's everything you have to look up and go, okay, I don't know what I'm being taught here. Show me what to learn so I never have to take this test again. And we've just been walking through the fire, and little by little, he's always supplied. We've maintained tithing the entire time. I don't even know. I look at the numbers to this day, Debbie, and I'm blown away how God is doing it. it's just bizarre. It's like, wow, how is this even by math? Any banker would go, this is not working. You can't do this, but it's being done because of just that simple little thing called faith. And just, maintaining that walk. Even some days you're crawling on your belly through the glass,
That's it.
but you just, okay, got
One
another
foot in
day.
front of the other, right? A
Well,
little
one
at a
day at a
time.
time.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And you and I didn't talk about this, but Jim and I have been not severe alcoholics, but we dealt with wine in our lives every day for the entire 39 years we've been together. And I kept praying for God to break it off of me, but the stronghold was so horrible, I couldn't do it in my own strength. And I always thought I was doing it with God until this year in January, our church goes through a prayer and fasting time. We give that to God the first part of every year. And I said, okay, God, I'm expecting the miracle from you this year. I'm giving up this wine and I've never made it through. It's always been an excuse on Friday. Friday's okay. God will be all right with it. Well, this year we made it through all 21 days. Tomorrow will be a month.
Congratulations.
And we've been reading this book called This Naked Mind. And what it does is it actually reveals the hidden lies in the marketing behind alcohol. We had no idea. And ladies, you need to hear this. I needed to learn this. And this is why I'm moving into a month tomorrow, because every time I see it now on the movies or anything else, I go, you're drinking poison.
Oh, really?
Your wine, ladies, 3 glasses a week increases your susceptibility to breast cancer by 15%. Just 3 glass. Now that's 3 ounce glasses. I was consuming on my own probably a good bottle to a bottle and a half daily. And I mean, I wasn't waking up with a hangover because I've been drinking for 41 years.
Sure.
And so it wasn't something, but I knew I needed it out of my life, but I couldn't do it on my own. And then because I'm a researcher, God put this book in my lap as a way for me to hear. There's over 1,000 deaths a week based on alcohol. 1,000 deaths a week.
Wow.
But we don't talk about it. I won't put alcohol in our Dead Sea products, but I'll suck it down. For relaxation, stress reduction. If it was a bad day, if it was a good day, it didn't.
Right, exactly. Whether you're celebrating or you're driving your sorrows.
On the weekend. Actually, I never drink early, but I was a responsible drinker. I didn't drink and drive a lot of times. Yeah, I did a couple when I was younger, but it was a way of life. And if you watch the movies, every movie, you'll see it in there. And it's like the blinders coming off now. And I'm just looking, I'm going, suck down. Do you know the ethanol that's in your glass of wine is in the car gasoline in your car? Same ethanol, no different, same thing. And it's just like, and because I have a lot of women coming to me going, I'm getting the toxins out of my body. And I'm going, are you drinking wine? Well, I got to have my wine. Well, let's have a conversation. Let me help you understand. You might have a recurrence after you get out of this because you won't drink while you're doing chemo. But when you get back to feeling good and natural, it feels like it's okay again. And then you start it. And then every 3 glasses, 15% increase to it coming back. I just worked with a lady the other day. She's got it back again and it's in her spine and she's terminal and nothing can be done at this point. And it's just heartbreaking. We're doing it to ourselves. And, and here I am an exercise instructor. I mean, I teach one of the hardest courses there is on planet Earth called Insanity. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but look it up. Shanti.
Yes.
You're talking crazy annex, right? I've been doing that 11 years now.
Wow.
And I'm still going. I can actually out burpee football players.
That's unbelievable.
Because I've been teaching. And it's just, we got to get into learning about what we're doing to ourselves. And ladies, you are so much stronger than you give yourself credit. I don't want to pick up heavy weights. I'm going to look like a body. No, you're not. You, unless you are already looking like a guy, you don't have enough testosterone to look that way. They train to look like that.
Exactly.
They train for those competitions. And believe it or not, they're not happy when they're doing that training. It's a miserable road. I use exercise to maintain health and stay out of the hospital. And I have avoided hundreds massively catastrophic accidents because of all of that stuff. And that's one of the things they do in the blue zones. They force themselves into exercise moves and stuff, stepping over things and doing, like what's called and all of these things. So they keep their agility and their balance, because that's what goes first.
Yes.
And the flexibility and all of these different things. And we just we get away from it. And I'm sorry, I'm just rambling on here.
I know. And I'm looking at the time saying, okay, I said I wanted to keep it under 30 minutes, but before we wrap up, I want to just ask you, can you share some things about how to care for our skin, our faces? I get confused with how many products do I need? I need a cleanser. What do I need? A toner too? And then I have to do a mask, and then I have to put on my moisturizer. It just seems like an awful lot.
Well, the simple fact of the matter is, if you want to, what I call age beautifully, you got to invest a little time. But I, over the course of time, have figured out how to multitask.
Okay.
So what I do is, at the end of my day, I remove all makeup and wash my face. I do toner, serum, cream. Then in the morning when I wake up, because I went to bed with a clean face, I paint on a mud mask. And I go downstairs, I get our lemon water ready, and then my husband and I do our devotional time. So as I'm doing the devotional, I'm drinking my lemon water, and then I'm also, the mud mask is drying. When we're done and we say our prayers, and then we're getting ready for work, I go wash the face and do my makeup. Well, I started doing a daily mask when I was 47, because I had a client say, can I do this every day? I love how my skin looks, but I don't want to hurt myself. And I was like, I don't know that answer. I'd only do it twice a week. Let me give it a shot. So I started doing it every week when I turned 47, and I'll be 61 this year. I haven't lost my face, but I figured out how to get it in. Now, when I was going to BNI and had to be there at 7 a.m., a lot of women are going, how'd you do that? I set my alarm for 4:30, woke up, put it on, laid back down while it dried. I fell back asleep, got back up at 5:30, got ready and out the door. Because it was like, I want to know, what will my skin look like when I'm 80? I see so many women going with the Botox and the lip injections and the cheek implants, and their lips, they look like duck lips, and their face, it's distorted. And over time, the first couple of rounds, it's okay. But over time, the body quits producing all of this stuff. So then you have to get it done, or you're going to end up with snake lips and all these, surgeries. And all of these women, I don't know what it is with women and boobs on social media right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, cover up.
Exactly.
Aren't you understanding? You're drawing the wrong attention. You're turning off the women and you're turning on the men, but the men aren't going to get what you want
Right.
Right. And they're getting boob jobs, and they're getting even butt implants.
I know.
I'm just like, be beautiful, be you, and just age gracefully, age beautifully, take on a couple of little tiny things. But to answer your question, you always want to make sure you wash your face before you go to bed.
Yes.
Never sleep in makeup. I don't care, even if it's our Dead Sea mineral makeup, even though it's, quote, better than most, wash it off. It takes literally 1 minute to do that. And then if you don't want to do toner, serum, cream, at least come in with the cream, and then women are buying massively expensive eye creams that, can I tell you, they don't do it. 9/10 of the stuff that's in there is a filler. They don't have real quality. It's like in there 1% when you get this stuff or less. But they have the right as a big corporation. The FDA has said you can take that when it's under 1% and move it up to the top. So it looks like you've got this wonderful product
Interesting.
at the top, but it's not. It's really should be at the bottom past the period, but they don't have to, they've got this loophole and they take advantage of it. So do a mud mask once a week, get a good quality one, learn your ingredients though, because what's being absorbed into that skin could age you down the road. When
Interesting.
you take it off, I mean, it'll look like it's doing something now, but over time, that's what happened with me in an MLM I was in back in the day, big name, but my skin started getting worse over 2 years of using, and it was all full of parabens and petroleum byproducts, all petroleum.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah. What should we be looking for in the ingredient list? That's a no-no.
Well, in my book, there is actually a free gift from tammyd.com, and there's a downloadable PDF on there. I've got a new one now because there's a new study coming out about what's called the forever chemicals. And these are called PFASs, and they are forever. They're in mainly waterproof products, waterproof mascara, waterproof, things that even lipsticks. And we have a brand new list of 35 PFAS names that are forever chemicals that you at all costs should always avoid. And so we're working on getting that on the website too. But it's, let me see what, free gift from tammyd.com is the website. And it's on there, but it actually lists all of the high-end toxic ingredients that you can actually look through and then look on the things in your bathroom. I can't tell you how many women have texted me or emailed me and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe how toxic my bathroom has become. Shower gels, shampoos, my expensive creams, my bath products that I'm soaking in. When you get in that tub, your pores open up wide to draw in all of this stuff, but you don't know what you're putting on you isn't healthy.
Yeah.
It's for me time, it's for relaxation time, but it's actually toxic time. And we don't want that. And it's hard to get it out, just like processed foods.
Yeah. Tammy, as we wrap up, anything else that you'd like to share that you haven't done so already? And also, please let us know the name of your website where we can find your products.
Oh, I'd love to share the website. The website is Aviv Spa. Now, Aviv is Hebrew for new beginning. And when I went to Israel to find my source for the Dead Sea raw materials, I knew that every word over in Israel actually had a Hebrew meaning. So I drove our poor guide nuts. And when our first stop was Tel Aviv. And I was like, okay, Yuvi, what does Tel Aviv mean? And he said, Tel means mountain. Aviv means springtime or new beginning. And the Holy Spirit said, that's your name. And so we actually we were calling it Totally Pamper Me, the product back then. And we changed it it was actually Aviv International. And then we've had a couple of name changes, but now we've anchored in at Aviv Spa, and I will carry that name to my grave. I'm not making another change.
Well, it's a great name, so stick with it.
Yeah, but it's avivspa.com. It is, and I also have avivcbd.com. We had to separate the two because of Google and Meta or Facebook saying that hemp was illegal, which it's not, but so we had to do those two separately. But I work with all of these products on my clients, proving that these products literally are beneficial. And Totally Pamper Me, you can Google it. It's got, I think, 59 or 65-star reviews for what we do here, because everything matters. It's just like your diet. Sneaking hurts you,
right?
Nobody else,
right?
And it actually messes with your mind too. So as you're beginning your new journey, once you've learned it, you can't unlearn it.
Right. Exactly.
But that's the beauty of it, because you're right here, right now. You've heard this, and that means that you got two choices. You can do the ostrich effect, which is stick your head in the sand and ignore it. And then down the road, when you have health problems, go, oh, why didn't I listen?
Yep.
Or go ahead. Now, I'm not saying get crazy with it. I'm just saying baby steps. As you go through something, just find a natural alternative to what that is. If you see it's got those toxins in it, you can't just, well, some people can, but most of us, you just sort of take it little baby steps,
Absolutely.
which is what I teach in my exercise classes. You want one baby step stronger than you were yesterday.
Yep. Agreed.
Trying
That
to do
goes
it
to
all one
everything.
time, you fail at all of it.
Yep. Funny, I was driving earlier and I can't even remember what the heck I was thinking about. And I thought to myself, why are you thinking that way? That's way too overwhelming. I got to break it down, so I sometimes we all have to remind ourselves of that, because just thinking about, oh my goodness, changing every single thing we eat, products, I mean, forget it. Then you're in, I can't think of the word, but then you're in, you can't do anything, right? You're
Well, you end up
frozen.
in denial.
Yes, it's too overwhelming. So you just say, forget it, I can't do that, and throw your hands up. But you can always do one little step, whatever that is. Maybe it's, as we talked about earlier, drinking
Gallon a
more.
day.
Yep, drinking more water. So, well, Tammy, thank you so much for sharing your story and your knowledge with me and with our audience. I really appreciate that. And we will put the website in the show notes so people can find you and find your products.
Well,
And
how about we give them a discount?
oh, well, okay, absolutely. Thank you. Tell me.
We'll do a 15% discount, and we'll do the code Debbie Weiss.
Ah,
All right.
thank you.
That'll get you 15% off on the website. Just type it in and it's WEISS, right?
Correct.
Got it. So we'll do that at 15% off. And that way, and if you have any questions, info@avivspa.com comes straight to my inbox. And I'm always here. I do a newsletter on Wednesdays and Fridays, just talking about different things. This week, we're actually talking about getting rid of biotin in your diet and why you should get rid of biotin, and what the FDA, even though I have issues with them, sometimes they're right. And this is one of the times. Get biotin, ladies, out of your hair, skin, and nail products. It is actually been now proven medically to cause blood readings to go crazy. And it doesn't do any good for hair, skin, and nails. Other vitamins will, that are combined with it, but
yes,
biotin on its own. And I recommend, ladies, that you use saw palmetto extract powder and put it in your greens in the morning. And that will be, it's a better alternative, and it works so much better for the body. Most women think of it as the prostate drug, but it's very good for all people, hair, skin, and nails.
Okay, wonderful. Oh, you are a fountain of information. And if you're not looking online, you can't see that she looks like the fountain of youth, with skin and hair just glowing back at me. So again, Tammy, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here with us today. And to everyone else, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.